Good morning. I would wish to welcome you to today's class, that is business organization, the second part of topic 1, that is introduction to business organization, by looking into the topic business and its environment. So when you're looking at this topic, we want to see the environment in which the business that we are going to carry out is going to be surrounded with. So when we talk about an environment, is the surrounding of something. Therefore, the surrounding of a business are the factors that are going to affect or influence the business performance, and therefore we have to understand how these factors will affect your business and will affect the success of your business. Therefore, by knowing these factors, it's possible that you're going to make some decisions concerning how maybe to overcome some of the challenges that are going to be of course brought about by these challenges or these factors. So in business environment, we have to look at some other few factors. First of all, the meaning of a business environment refers to the activity that refers to any activity that is carried out by an individual or an organization with the aim of making a profit. That is the meaning of a business, and therefore the environment, of course, of a business that we discussed last time, we are going to look at those factors, and I've told you that there are factors that affect business. They're divided into two. That is internal and external factors. Internal factors can be called micro factors of the business environment. These are factors that are controllable. The government has power to control them. The business has power to control them. The business has power to influence them so that they can get the best yield out of these factors that are going to affect the business. So the fact that the business can be able to control them, we call them controllable factors of the business environment. So they may include the following: the objectives of the business. These are targets or goals that are set by the business to be achieved in the future. So these objectives can be changed, can be altered, and that's why we call them internal or micro, because the business is able to control how these are going to be achieved. If they want to achieve it soon, they may inject more resources. If they want to achieve them in the later time, they may reduce the resources to be of course injected to this project or to these targets. The second of course environment factors in the environment is management, policies, and staff. So the policies are rules and regulations that govern the organizational performance, and therefore they are part of the micro environment or internal environment of a business, because one can change these rules over time depending on the purpose, depending on the circumstances, so that they can always achieve the best alternative. So the best managerial policies that we may have or practices, we can achieve the highest outcome in the business. The worst that we can have, then we may end up losing or failing in the business. The third internal factor is the business structure. This is a formal arrangement of activities in the organization that helps to achieve its targets. So how these organization structures will help in terms of communication from one individual to another, will help in resource allocation, and therefore if we have a good structure where it's possible that we can get the best outcome of the organization. So the structure will influence, because it will influence decision making, it will influence management style, it will influence communication, and therefore having a good structure is also part of the internal organization that you need to have. Then we have another factor of internal environment is the business structure. Sorry, the business resources. These are available resources for the business. If you have many, then you can use them to achieve high returns. If you don't have much, you need, of course, to plan on them. So the fact that you need these resources to and manage them, you have control over them, they're also part of internal factors of the environment. So the resources can be human resources, that is labor, can be financial resources, can be physical resources, that is raw materials, and can be technology. Like for example, having good technology in your organization, controlling it towards achieving the best output or capacity from each machine, for example, is something that an organization can embrace, and therefore we can control that. It's part of the machines that we are talking about in the organization, buildings and the structures which are part of the technology. Then we have research and development as a department that is concerned with gathering resources, investigating sources of supply, investigating sources of raw materials, investigating a number of issues relating to consumers in the market, and therefore this is an internal management, it's an internal factor that will help in ensuring that the organization grows further by understanding the current trends in the market, current changes in the market, so that all the time we as an organization, we are updated. So therefore, the more we inject resources to this department, the more we are updated, and the more we can reap more from the market by understanding the competition in the market, understanding the consumer behavior, understanding the sources of raw materials, understanding how these factors can be effectively and efficiently utilized to ensure that we achieve the best profit from the market. Then we have also the next factor is the business culture. This combination of employee expectations and beliefs and the values within the organization. Having good employee relations, you can be able to get to know what are some of the strengths of your employees, what are some of the beliefs they have, what are some of the expectations they have. All these can be combined to form a culture whereby their belief is what will drive the organization towards the future of this organization. So if we have such a culture, of course you are going to see even new employees joining the organization, they tend to, of course, align themselves to this culture that has been, to these beliefs, to this behavior, to these values that have been there, a dominant character over time that can be identified with this organization. Then we have business owners as the next internal factor that can affect also business. So we are told the owners of the business provide finances and resources to start and run the business. They also make decisions concerning operations of the business. So appropriate decisions, of course, will affect the organizations positively, and therefore if the management or the owners are unable to make good decisions, they will influence the productivity of the organization negatively. If they are good, they will influence the productivity positively, and therefore their decisions will affect the business well-being. And therefore this was another factor that is internal that we can influence as a business through having good record keeping, like financial records that mostly the management or the owners of the business will tend to rely on when making decisions. So then we look at the external factors or external environment. These are external factors of the business. We call them macro business environment, and They are external because the business management is unable to control them. They are beyond the business control, and therefore they are called uncontrollable factors of the business. Among them, we have external business environment, can be further subdivided into operating environment and, of course, remote environment, depending on whether the factors influence to some extent or not. The environment can be influenced. The environments that can be influenced are referred to as operating environment. So we have this environment that is going to affect your business. These are factors of the environment that you cannot be able to control them. The business will only strategize on how to align itself towards adopting to this new environment. For example, we have the political environment. So political environment is whereby social political factors such as elections, such as the government structure, that is democracy, autocracy, and many other leadership styles that we may have in the country, they affect the business. Like now, when it comes to election period, you have always seen that some businesses are closed down. So that is one of the strategies that businesses tend to use to adapt to the new environment of political scenarios. Like, for example, we've had some riots that were happening, or demonstrations due to maybe agitation from the youths who feel that they have been undermined by the government, and therefore they need to be heard. So such demonstrations affect businesses, and this is a political factor, for example. So the business will not control them because you cannot stop the demonstrations as a business, but what you can only do is to come up with strategies. Like among the strategies that we have seen, some businesses have installed CCTVs for security purposes. Some businesses have enhanced their door systems to ensure that they are very strong, such that no one can break it into. So these are some of the strategies that are used in ensuring that we adapt to the changes in politics. So when the political environment is unfavorable, you're going to see such challenges, and when it's going to be favorable, sometimes you're going to gain more from politics. So these are among the other factors which are external. We can have social factors, that is how people interact within society where you're going to have your business. These social factors can be demographic factors, that is with population. It can be factors such as culture, religion, can be also the beliefs of people in the society, and therefore this makes them to affect your business as a whole. And therefore you have to understand what the society needs. For example, if you are going to have your business in an environment whereby the society is densely populated with Islam, some businesses may not do well in that place. Therefore, you will always have to ensure that you sell what the society needs and what it values according to their norms and the beliefs. We have also environmental factors that such as weather conditions, like rainfall, drought. We've seen these also, floods. These are environmental factors that affect businesses. So when they happen, they may favor your business or not. The only way is to just adapt to them without influencing them in any way, because you cannot control them. We have also legal factors, that is the laws and regulations of the land or a country where you are operating. Each country has its own rules and regulations that affect businesses. Some rules may disfavor your business. Like now in Kenya, we usually have some laws regulating alcohol. So sometimes if you are selling this product, maybe that is in your line of your business, sometimes you need to understand, of course, what are some of these rules and how they affect your business, so that you can be able to align yourself or adapt to the legal facts, so that you may not be found conflicting with the government of today. In many other factors that we can talk about in business. So the next part is understanding what is the business opportunity. So a business opportunity, we are told, it is a plan. So we are told that it is a favorable chance that an entrepreneur accepts to invest. So chances really happen in life, but there are those that you may not be able to invest into. There are those that you can be able to invest into. So when such chances happen and you are willing and able and you have accepted to invest into them, they are called business opportunities. So we define opportunities that are as chances that when they happen, you have all it takes to start and run a business, or for example, capitalize on the same. For example, you can have a chance if you have the skills required, and then a chance happens. For example, we have demonstration. You have the skills to produce mask. You have the resources. You are willing to produce mask. Such a chance of demonstrations happening becomes a business opportunity for you, because at that point you can make a huge sum of money in form of profit because of that a chance. So an opportunity is always a chance that when it happens, you have all it takes to capitalize on that. So these chances can be identified in the market through and identifying the market gaps. So when you talk about market gaps, these are gaps that have been left by these marketers in the market or the business in the market. When you talk about that, businesses in the market have tried to satisfy human needs, but they may have not fully satisfied. That which they have left out is what we call a gap, and therefore if you are able to satisfy that gap, then it becomes your business opportunity. And therefore some of the market gaps can be found in the following areas. Number one is where there is unavailability of products. This is where you have, yes, the businesses are there, they are providing products, but the product that they are providing are not enough to satisfy the needs of customers in the market. So in that case, if you can be able to satisfy that gap, to add more of the goods required in the market, then that becomes your gap and an opportunity for you. Then you can also identify a gap in the market whereby where there is poor quality of products. This means that when the competitors or the marketers in the market are providing goods to the customers, but what goods are provided seems to be of poor quality, and you have the ability to produce products of high quality, in this case, that also is another gap that you can seal in the market, and that becomes also your business opportunity. Then we have insufficient quantities. Insufficient quantities, this is where actually when you're talking about unavailability, as we totally don't have any product, but insufficient is where we have goods, yes, but are not enough, and therefore the business can be able to add more of the goods. Another gap you can identify in the market and it becomes opportunity is where goods are unaffordable to consumers. That means you can produce and sell it at maybe an affordable price for the consumers. So if you can do that, produce at lower cost to ensure that you're selling you're pricing your product at least lower than what others are doing are selling in the market, then that becomes also your business opportunity. Lastly, poor services. We can have other businesses in the market, they are producing quality, they are producing quantity, but they have failed in service provision. So if you can also tap into that, because there's also a gap that can be identified, because we may have businesses who are producing good but their service provision is very poor. That means customers are not served well in the market. If you can serve them well, of course you can seal that gap in the market, and that becomes also your business opportunity. So after understanding about those types of business opportunities we can have through understanding those gaps, you cannot at one time invest into a market where there is unavailability of products. You cannot invest into at the same time a market where there are poor quality of goods. You cannot again invest where we have insufficient quantities. You cannot at the same time invest in unaffordable prices and also poor services. These are demands of the market and you cannot be able to satisfy them at once because of the limit of resources that we are having at this time. Therefore, because resources that have never been enough are insufficient, and therefore we need to project our resources towards a certain business opportunity that we know that it is there, it can lead to achieving best results from the market, and we can do it. Or maybe you can invest into a business opportunity that is doable at all circumstances without much stress or worry. So in that case, then we need to evaluate the business opportunities. So in evaluating business opportunities, you're going to evaluate, you're going to assess each business opportunities to see what it takes for one to invest into that, and then the possibility of having the market, the possibility of having the consumers, the possibility of having the revenue after investing in such an opportunity. Therefore, we are going to evaluate, which we call evaluation of business opportunity, which means assessment of whether the identified opportunity is viable or not. It helps in arriving the best decision concerning the best idea to implement. So when you are doing analysis or evaluation, it's going to help us to understand which of the business opportunities that is possible to be undertaken and implement without much worry, as I've already told you. So in evaluation of these business opportunities, you will do the following. You will assess the business opportunities in terms of, number one, your personal consideration. So the factor number one that you want to check on is personal consideration. So under personal consideration, you're going to look at the abilities and expectation of an entrepreneur. What are some of your abilities? Yes, you may realize that in the market there is an availability of some products. Then, do you have some skills required to produce such product? If you don't have, then you cannot invest into that idea. What about expectations? Some businesses you may invest into them and then you realize that they are not what you are the revenue is not what you expected. Therefore, you have to also consider the expectation of an entrepreneur. So in personal consideration, you have to check on your objectives. That is, an entrepreneur should evaluate his idea and find whether it is in line with its objectives. You have your own personal objectives in life. You have your own targets. So in investing in any business opportunity that we have seen up there, you must also ensure that you are investing into an idea or a business opportunity that you are interested in, and that opportunity will help you to achieve your target. For example, many people may leave employment because they are seeking for freedom. So if the business opportunity that you are going to start may not give you freedom, then at this point you have lost it. If you are starting a business with the aim of making a profit, that is your own objective in the short run, then if the business is not able to give you that, then you are wrong. So you are going to invest into a business that you see is in line with your objectives, such that you may not be frustrated when it fails. Then we have the skills requirement. As a person, you have your own personal skills that you need to exercise in your business. So in this case, we have seen many people, professionals who are having their profession going to business. They usually do business which they are well skilled. For example, a teacher will always see them starting a school, a doctor having a pharmacy or a nursing home, or even a nursing home, or even a chemist. So that is their line of profession, and that is where they have more skills. That means they tend to practice what their skills are. So you cannot venture into any business opportunity that you don't have prior skills required. Then we have another personal consideration is interest. Commitment. This is where you have to see the sacrifice that you are willing to give for a business. If some business you are not willing to sacrifice for it, then you are not fully prepared for such a business opportunity. It's not about only your sacrifice, but also your relations, like for example your family relations. If your family are willing also to sacrifice their time for the business, sacrifice their resource for this business, then you are good to go. But if they are not, then it simply means you are not committed to this business, and therefore you may not invest into such a business opportunity. You must always invest into a business that may not interfere much to your family issues, much to yourself issues, your own peace, and therefore you have to invest into that which you are willing to sacrifice your time, your family for it to succeed. And we have interest, which comes as a result of the skills that you possess and your willingness or commitment to have this business grow. So any entrepreneur should enjoy running the business idea. So you should enjoy running the business. If the idea you are about to venture into, you are not willing to enjoy, you're not going to enjoy it, then you're not interested in it at all. Therefore, you should not invest into such a business idea. Then we have also the second consideration of factors that we look at when evaluating the business opportunities is in terms of business consideration, the business itself. Number one, you have to evaluate the business in terms of the resources available. So if the business you're about to invest into, you don't have resources for it, for example, you could want to invest in affordable prices, where we have an affordable prices. You want to produce goods and they sell at affordable prices. Then you realize that raw materials are very expensive, are not available, and therefore that is why even the producers of today are also selling it very expensive. Then it simply means that one can make you fail to succeed in that business. Therefore, you have to check on that. And we have also another business consideration is availability of the market. So always we have to produce products with the market is there. We must do research to ensure that we have full information about the consumers in the market, their ability to buy, their purchasing behavior, and many other issues relating to the market before you embark in the full production, because it's a cost to the organization. So if there is available market, then you are good to go. Then we have government policies. These are regulations that we have mentioned initially from the topic environment. These are rules and regulations that govern the business. If they are favorable, then you can invest into such a business opportunity. Then amount of capital required. Some business opportunities may require huge sums of money. Then if you don't have, you may not be able to invest into that. Therefore, you have to consider again the capital requirement for such a business. If it is affordable to start, you can of course use it. Then we have to look at also profitability. We are entering into the business for profit aims. So if you fail to have, if the business opportunity fails to have that an incentive at the end of your operation, then you may not be willing to invest in such business opportunity. So I would like to stop there, so that in the next class we shall look at business units. Enjoy your day.